All right, so this is going to be a comparison between the if25a on the right here and the sp36 Pro on the left. So we'll start by overall kind of dimensions and how big they are. So we'll put them right up next to each other. So you can see that the if25a is a little bit shorter and also quite a bit thinner. I feel like that's the biggest distinction between the two, as when you have this one in your hand, you can easily, wrap your entire hand around the flashlight, and it doesn't weigh very much at all. You don't really notice it in your pocket. They also put a wrist strap connection at the bottom, and you do get a wrist strap from the factory. Like when you purchase a light, this will come with it, which is super nice if you plan on using this for hiking or running outside. It kind of prevents you from dropping it. Like if you do drop it, there's a second point of attachment right here, so the idea is that you won't end up breaking the glass on top, because that's the biggest thing that you have to be worried about. I would not want to break either of the reflectors on here, because that would be a bummer. I'm not sure if they're replaceable or not. This thing is, yeah, like I said, so it fits in your hand really nicely. It is pretty light. You can't really tell when it's in your pocket it's that light. It kind of feels approximately similar to your average phone in terms of weight. To take the battery out, you unscrew the bottom part of the light right here. Whereas the sp36 Pro, if you want to disassemble it and take the batteries out, it unscrews right here. So you grab the top and this bottom part, and then you twist off right here. The buttons on both of these are really high quality. They're both very clicky and feel really good, and it seems like they'll have a lot of longevity to them. They're both super duper well made. They feel like solid pieces of aluminum, which they are, and yeah, they just feel really good in your hand. So holding the sp36 Pro in your hand, just for comparison, so I can essentially get my whole hand around it. The biggest things are there's no wrist strap attachment on this light. I don't know why. I guess it does have enough weight to be questionable whether or not, if you were to drop this, a wrist strap could help you out just because it's so thin. But this is quite a bit heavier, but it manages its weight pretty well. Holding it outside, it doesn't feel like your hand would get fatigued over time. But that is a big strength of the if25a, is that you can kind of throw it in your pocket, forget about it, and then when you do need it, you just take it out and use it. You could pocket this one as well, but depending on what kind of pants you have on, it could weigh them down. Like you'll really feel it in your pocket. Just showing you some close-ups of the build quality of the sp36 Pro. It's also very, very well made. Nothing feels rattly or cheap. It just feels really substantial in your hand. Here's the charging port for the sp36 Pro, again with that rubber flap that you should keep closed if you want to have some, water resistance integrity. Little hot symbol up here. The color temperatures, so this one is the 6500K version. They also make a 4000K temperature. This sp36 Pro is the 5000K. They also make a 6500. And I don't know if I said this earlier, but this one has three 18650 cells that are 3000 milliamp hours each, which should give you a total of 9000 milliamp hours of juice. And then this one has a single cell. I believe it's 4000 milliamp hours from the factory. Both of these do have factory batteries in them, and they hold up pretty well from what I can tell so far. So comparing the color temperature of the two quickly. So I'll put this in the ground and shine it towards the wall. So again, this is 6500K, this is 5000K. So you can kind of see the differences on the carpet here of the two temperatures. I'll show you the wall as well. The higher color temperatures, the 6500 is always better if you just want like pure perceived output and pure brightness. Especially if you're going to be using this a lot outdoors. That's kind of what you're going for here, just the max amount of output for the smallest form factor possible, which I feel like this light does pretty well. I feel like it's pretty tough to beat the portability of this for how absolutely bright this thing is outdoors. It's pretty nuts. On turbo mode, this thing hits 4,000 lumens, and on turbo mode, the SP36 Pro hits 8,000 lumens. The if25a on turbo does heat up a bit faster than the SP36 Pro, obviously, just because there's less raw metal on this light to take all that heat, so you kind of feel it quicker. It throttles a little bit quicker compared to the 36 Pro. And the 36 Pro on turbo, comparing the two, is pretty noticeably brighter, even though it's 5000K comparing it to 6500. I mean, the output on this thing is pretty nuts. If I change this to turbo and then this to turbo, I mean, the output is just absolutely insane. It's kind of hard to tell on video, especially because it is daytime right now, but these are both incredibly bright. So we'll shut both of them off. You definitely could take this one outdoors and do a lot with it as well. I mean, the increased output being double the lumens is really nice and noticeable, but I mean, it is kind of hard to justify when the if25a is, also very bright in its own right, but it's just so small and lightweight. We'll do a quick comparison on the wall over here, just comparing these two lights. So I have the SP36 Pro on the right, the if25a on the right, and the SP36 Pro on the left right here. So we're going to start by turning on the if25a right here, and then here's the 36 Pro on the left. So 36 Pro, if25a. We'll go turbo on the if25a on over here, and then turbo on the 36 Pro. So 25a, 36 Pro. They both have really nice beam patterns. The 36 Pro definitely has a little bit more of a hotspot, it seems, but I mean, the raw output on the 36 Pro is just a lot more than the 25a. I mean, there's no getting around that. But yeah, overall, you honestly can't go wrong with either of these. The increased output on this one is incredibly nice, but the portability on this one is nice as well. Not that either of them are overly large. Like, I'd be a little bit concerned taking the Q8 Plus or the Q8 Pro, for example, on a long hike, just because those things just weigh so much with the 4 batteries. I feel like one of these two options are your best bet overall. But yeah, truthfully, you can't really go wrong with either of these. They're pretty great lights.